basically they were given very stereotypical features so it would be easier to identify. So basically chinky eyes, very like nasty like buck teeth, and basically like fangs and stuff. Like, it was
Are you
really
describing
cool.
Josh?
What?
It's time for World War II.
The Pacific Theater.
So to start this history video, because we have to do this, we're gonna talk about the Greater East Asia Coast Co-Prosperity Sphere. So basically, it was like a name for their expansionist program during World War II. They used like the phrase like Asians for Asians because they try to rule all. Japan had a lot of like control over Asia because they had a lot of colonies, and like they had control over like Korea, the Marshall Islands, and then they had railroad rights in Manchuria. And so why they had this was like because Japan is an island, so it's like they're kind of surrounded by water and they have a lot of people and they need resources other than the ones on their island. So Japan wanted to like control the key territory in Asia for their resources, and also they needed resources to industrialize. So basically, different places like Manchuria had coal mines and iron, and Indonesia had coal, rubber, and tin. China had lots of rich farming land to grow stuff. And then like any country has like labor, people, and food. Japan also wanted to expand for military purposes. Mostly for like airstrips, or, like placements of troops, and like the attack on like the Philippines, and like the invasion of Manchuria. Yeah. The Japanese is also in a war with China, so they had to Peking, which is also known as Beijing.
Peking.
It looks like Peking. Well, the Japanese took Peking, right?
I doubt it. Okay.
Wait, what is it?
I don't know. I'm not Chinese.
Okay, Beijing at the like now,
Okay.
during the war, and the Japanese like wanted to take like over all the cities like on the coast of China for like to gain benefits, and they made their way toward Nanking, where like the rape of Nanking happened, and like that was kind of the end of their sphere where they tried to take over Asia, but they didn't.
What was Pearl Harbor? Well, it was a surprise military strike by the Imperial Japanese Navy Air Service against the United States Naval Base. This happened on December 7, 1941. 2,403 Americans had died and 1,178 were wounded. 18 ships were sunk, including 5 other battleships. This pushed FDR to declare war on Japan.
What happened? White people happened. White people fucking happened. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, basically there was an extreme disdain and like hatred towards Japanese people and like their culture and everything like that because of the attack. And basically all the white people became extremely xenophobic, did not like anybody of the different races, specifically Japanese at the time, because they're the ones who personally attacked us. And they created racial slurs for them, following the many attacks like against them. Like a lot of like non-governmental like attacks happened to the Japanese people by the white people, Americans. They did Japanese hunting licenses that were free for all white people, to kill all the Japanese, because get them out of the country. And basically rumors went around that all Japanese were basically spies and they shouldn't be trusted, and they basically judged a few by the they judged the whole by the few is what I mean. Yeah. So propaganda was a really big part of the whole anti-Japanese sentiment in that time period, basically, and it would help push the xenophobia?
Close enough.
What the fuck did I write? Racial slurs and like stereotypes was basically a way to instill fear into the racial prejudice that was against them against the Japanese in the first place, to gain the United States, like people from the United States to like join the war and like support it more. And basically these stereotypes attack the entire Japanese race by linking to their physical attributes to animalism and like unintelligence. Anyways, so anti-Japanese sentiment, what is it? It's the hatred or fear of anything Japanese, basically, and it prominently appeared after the attack on Pearl Harbor during World War II. and all Japanese Americans were forced to leave their homes and businesses behind due to all of this like bullshit that happened to them. And, like, it wasn't their fault. I mean, yeah, it wasn't their fault. It was the Japanese Americans there, and like the people who immigrated there to like, you know, be safe. It's not their fault. And those people were all forced into internment camps and stuff. And about 120,000 of the Japanese Americans were sent to one of the 10 internment camps that there were around the entire United States. These Japanese Americans were people who were already living there, citizens who were just sent there just because of their ancestry, just because of what they look like. And often these internment camps were poorly built and overcrowded, and no one was happy.
I know, I had to do it the day. I know, they're gonna be like, did you do this video the day of that you made this? Okay. Aircraft carriers had many benefits, including the ability to carry artillery, deploy aircrafts from their desired location, and extend defense to the sea. If anything, it was a floating military base, and it was big as shit. So, examples of carrier battles include the Battle of Midway, Guadalcanal, Lake Gulf, and Iwo Jima. I'm gonna put it here. The Battle of Midway was an attempt to destroy American aircraft carriers that escaped the bombing of Pearl Harbor, but they failed due to the U.S. solving Japanese fleet codes, pretty much giving the ability to the surprise attack was surprise attack. Guadalcanal was the first major offensive and desired victory for the Allies in the Pacific. It was a U.S. surprise attack on the Japanese and the overtaking of the air base under construction called Henderson Field. Now, moving on. Lake Gulf, yes, I have her 6th period. Lake Gulf was the biggest. Yes, she is.
Alright. Kaylee's a nerd.
Okay, Lake Gulf was the biggest out of all the 4, and it crushed the Imperial Japanese Navy. It also resulted in the permitting of the U.S. invasion of the Philippines and reinforced the Allies' control of the Pacific. Moving on. Iwo Jima was the bloodiest out of all the 4 and resulted in 6,821 fatalities for the U.S. and about 18,000 fatalities for Japan. That's a lot of carnage.
But everything's still pretty cool, I guess.
Bye.